Hi, and welcome to my first ever podcast called I Confess with Travis. I am your host, Travis Bartlett, and today I thought I could maybe discuss some things. There's probably going to be a lot to talk about. Like, first, when I mentioned that I actually had autism, I actually have ADHD and AAD and other symptoms. Well, I talked to a few people today, and they actually are not the only one who actually has autism. And I thought maybe we can talk about on how they actually deal with their lives on a daily basis. So today I'm going to be talking to a grandfather who is going to discuss his grandson who is diagnosed with autism, and he's going to tell me stories about how he figured out how his son had autism and how he actually had to learn and deal with it. So let's go ahead and take our first call. So how you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Oh.
Do you have autism?
Yes, I was diagnosed when I was 2 years old.
It's about the time my grandson was diagnosed and about the last time I saw him.
Oh, wow. When's the last time you
My
actually...
son and his wife, my son was in a car accident and they ended up getting a divorce when my grandson was about 7 or 8 months old because she, quote unquote, didn't want to take care of two babies.
Oh, wow.
And my son was very much into athletics, and my grandson, because of his autism, you know how autism will manifest itself in different interests.
Right.
His interests were all artistic and things like that. So my son couldn't get into the artistic side, and of course my grandson was unable to get into the athletic side, so they just grew further and further and further apart. And I kept saying, I says, you need to learn his interest.
Right.
And make an effort to interact with his interest.
Right.
I knew he was autistic before they had him diagnosed. My ex-daughter-in-law and him came over to visit Christmas. I purposely saved the Christmas tree for after he got there so he could help me decorate the tree. So we started unloading ornaments out of the box, and I handed it to him, and he put it on the coffee table. And I handed him the next one, he put it on the coffee table. We were going to unload everything and then the ornaments from there. Well, he kept getting slower and slower. I couldn't understand why. I looked over and was arranging them by, first it was shape. Then it interested him, so he started doing it by color. He kept reorganizing the coffee table by different groupings.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? And like I said, he was only about 18, 19 months old at that point. Also showed a very, very high interest in alphabet. At 18 months old, the magnetic letters that you can put on the refrigerator?
Oh, yeah, I know those.
He could put the ABCs from A to Z at 18 months old.
Oh, wow, that's
but
pretty
even better,
good.
Do it backwards.
Oh, wow.
You pick a letter out of the middle and put it up there, and he'd work from that letter to A and from that letter to Z.
That's pretty good.
Like I said, he was very much, my son has OCD, though he swears he doesn't. He does.
Oh, yeah.
And so with autism, you see, for a long time, we had an adult family home, so we had at least a couple of residents actually were autistic, but they didn't get diagnosed until after they were 18. So rather than being diagnosed with autism, they were diagnosed as being slow.
Right.
And disabled. You know what I'm saying? One of them had the form of autism called Asperger's.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of those.
The one where you don't have a filter with what you say.
Yeah.
You just say whatever comes to mind.
They're like really, really smart.
This guy was very much into computers and stuff, but he just had no diplomacy and tact when he said things. Not understand that some of the things he said hurt other people's feelings because just being honest.
Yeah, I don't actually have Asperger's. The only thing, the way I'm going to describe myself, I feel like I don't have that kind of brain. Like, let's say like a pothead, for example. Like, you could be talking to a pothead and their brain can be somewhere else and you could be like giving you like different answers and stuff, you know? Let's say like a blonde or one brain cell, like you wouldn't know your brain will function when you're like autistic. Let's say like I'm not trying to make this up. Like let's say like if you was to ask me what 2 plus 2 is, sometimes I might answer the answer quickly, or sometimes it might take me maybe 5 minutes or even all day to figure out what the answer is. How my brain functions. That's how my brain functions.
If you don't mind me asking.
I'm 32. Well, actually, I'm about to be 32 next month.
I take it that you live on your own?
Well, right now I'm living at my parents' house, but I'm actually trying to get a house of my own. I've been saving up some money, so I'm actually close to getting a house.
Parents feel about that?
They don't really care. I mean, they're just happy that I'm actually about to move out.
So they've been very supportive of you through the years to do as much as you think, and you feel. That's the way I wish my daughter-in-law would have treated my grandson, but coddled him.
Oh, wow.
And for him. Pretty much the helicopter mom.
Oh, I know those kind of people, yeah.
Because of his autism. And that's just wrong.
Right.
Wanted to be hover over you like that?
Oh, God, no. Not like that. I mean, my mom, she gives me space because, like, when I get bored, sometimes I might want to hang out with my mom or maybe go out shopping with my mom. But sometimes there's a lot I can do on my own. You know, like I can drive a car, I can go do shopping or do laundry.
When did you get your driver's license?
When I was like 24.
Why not at 16?
I was actually focusing on school and, you know, graduating and stuff like that. And I just didn't really.
Did you graduate?
Yes.
Did you graduate at the normal age?
Yeah. Yeah, I graduated at 19 at the year 2010.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I actually did really good, like with educations. And, you know, I was also in the autistic class since I was like in 7th grade. I've actually had the same teachers from 7th grade through all the way through, let's say, like 12th grade, basically.
Was that helpful?
Oh, yeah. Because like, you know, like every year in school, you always get like newer teachers and different, you know, stuff you're learning. But I was not expecting to be in the same, you know, classroom with the same teachers, but newer students, basically. I didn't expect that.
It actually made social anxiety was probably less.
Yes.
Because you were in a comfortable, known environment.
Right. And yeah, I really had nice teachers. I mean, what we did basically, like, you know how like with some schools, like they'll teach you just only basic stuff? Well, think of the school that I went to where not just basic stuff, but like they'll teach you like just like everything in 1 week, and then by next week we're learning something else. And then it's like we're going on field trips every other week. Like let's just say like we're taking a field trip, for example, okay? And then, I mean, it don't matter what field trip. It could be about anything, all right? Let's just say, like, you know, like we were on a bus, we're heading on a trip, and then let's say we get stuck in traffic. The only thing that these people are trying to help you is just try to, you know, help you get out, you know, in the community. And then let's just say, like they ask you questions like, okay, students, like, what causes traffic and why is there traffic? You know what I'm saying? Kind of like that.
Yeah.
And then they'll also like teach you how to get your driver's license and, you know, give you good education. Like this is schools that don't really teach you certain things, you know?
They taught you
everything, basically.
Useful everyday things.
Yes.
Like how to balance a checkbook and open a bank account and cook, wash clothes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was in a really good school, but I was not expecting.
Can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
When you were younger, did you ever have tantrums?
Not really. Not really.
Because my son did. And I don't know how it progressed as he got older, but when he was younger, he was very much into everything, had a place where it had to be. Like he liked to be read to, and eventually he started reading very early, but he had a bookcase and every book was in a certain place. So if he got a book for you to read to him, and he felt, and and you were finished, and it was time to put the book back. I learned real quick, well, let him put the book back.
Right.
Because if I put the book back and put it in the wrong place, oh my God, he would just
like have a meltdown, basically, like a
he'd have a
tantrum.
meltdown. Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
Wow.
literally lay on his back and start, waving his arms and stomping his feet and screaming, and yeah.
Well, see, I'm
He didn't like to be
kind
touched.
of.
He didn't like to be touched either.
See, I'm kind of like
And he
that.
didn't talk until it was about 4.
Well, see, I'm kind of like that, but I'm not as bad. But see, I don't really have tantrums because I'm used to like certain things being certain places. See, I have like OCD and I have so much of it. And it's like with this OCD, it drives me insane about certain things. Like there was this
Because
one.
you have it, and there's nothing you can do about
Right.
it.
No, there's nothing. Because I remember one time I went out shopping because, see, I work at a job and we work like in a freezer. And see, I work like in a warehouse where we make salads and we ship them off to like, stores and restaurants and stuff. And like I
Yeah.
said, we work in a freezer. And one day I went to Walmart, the one up here. Well, this is basically every single Walmart you go to. You know how, like, when you're trying to find something and it's like not in place or you're thinking it's not the right price? Oh, that drives me insane. Because I remember one time I was trying to find some thermals for me to wear, like at my job, so I wouldn't have to be freezing to death. I mean, I kept finding every single same color, but it was like different sizes, and that basically drove me crazy. And then one day I was heading home from work.
Because the shells are not arranged the way it would make sense to you.
Exactly. And then what else? And then one day I went to another Walmart.
You'd probably make a really good stalker.
Oh, well, yeah, I did.
Oh, you worked as a stalker for a while?
Yeah, well, yeah, I worked at Kroger as a courtesy clerk, and I did that for like almost 4 years. I basically, with courtesy clerks, they do mostly just about everything, like push carts, bag groceries, sweep the floors, clean the bathrooms, bathroom checks. I mean, there's a lot more that we have to do. And then with me working at Walmart, I basically worked at Cap 2. It's basically people who work in receiving, unloading the trucks and then stocking the shelves.
Right.
And then, I mean, see, I liked it, but it was just, I'm just not used to stocking shelves because it took me forever to like figure out which item go with which. And then because it's so weird, like it's so easy for me to find this things that I can buy, but it's just hard for me to actually stock them on the shelf. I mean, I know certain things go, but it's just in certain ways it just drives you, insane that you just don't know what is what.
Because you try to be very meticulous, and all the labels would have to face the same way,
Exactly.
and they all have to line out.
Oh, I know.
I hate to say this, Travis, but it's getting late, and I still got some stuff to do in the kitchen. It's been wonderful talking to you. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that my responses to your questions and my insight has been helpful.
All right. Thank you so much for actually joining my podcast. All right. Bye.
All right. Bye, Travis. You have a really good night.
All right. You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so we learned some things that this guy has a grandson, and he was talking about how his grandson also has autisms, tantrums, and other stuff that involves, people that actually have autism. And I kind of do agree with him because, there's some things that he said that kind of reminds me of what some of the things I might have done from the past. I'm also one of those people, I mean, I hate to say this out loud, but I'm one of those people who's kind of slow, but I can also like kind of pick things up. Sometimes I also have a brain where I could basically, like, let's say like if you was to teach me something, sometimes I might learn it really fast, or sometimes I might just teach myself on how to do things. And that's actually kind of smart because he was talking about how he and his grandson were basically putting up a Christmas tree, and that's when he started noticing something that was going on with his grandson, didn't know what was going on, and then he just basically figured out what was going on with his grandson. And see, that's actually smart because you actually got to watch out for people like that. See, I've actually had a next door neighbor that used to live next door from me. Well, they don't live there anymore. But, well, I don't live in that neighborhood either. But they had a kid that was autistic. He didn't talk, but he didn't really like to watch TV. He just wanted to hang out with his family. And then I remember this one time I was out on the front porch, just playing on my phone, and his dad, and I guess it was either his uncle or friend, I don't know. They were out there talking, and then apparently their son that was autistic ended up making a bed on the back of the truck, and obviously the parents didn't even do anything about it, but they were just out there just watching him. And I mean, I thought it was kind of funny at first, but I thought, you can't laugh at things like that, especially with kids that have autism and you might see them do like weird, unusual things. It's like you don't expect what an autistic child is going to do or, might say or, whatever the case may be. You have to actually be there to watch the child, no matter what. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and take a break and then we're going to go straight to our next call. Hey guys, welcome back to I Confess with Travis, and today I'm going to be taking a second call. I'm going to be talking to a guy who only has one arm, and he is going to talk to us on how he actually deals with only having one arm and thinks about the positive side of having a one arm. So, let's get started. All right, so hey, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Doing good. So, tell me about your story.
Well, I basically was born without my right arm, and I think a lot of people have this narrative that are like, oh, people have this narrative that are like, oh, having one arm is so hard, or he can't do anything. When actually, I can do a lot of things. Not the obvious things,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of things that I can do that need two arms that I just do with one. And I don't know, I've grown to love who I am and stuff, and I consider myself a somewhat social person because here in Los Angeles you kind of have to be because there's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just a high school student who goes to parties and stuff.
Oh.
And that doesn't stop. And I go about my day to day life just sometimes thinking damn,
Like just a normal life,
fuck.
basically.
And I also am a photographer.
Oh, that's cool.
I film a lot of 35 millimeter film photography. And stuff, and not even my arm will stop me from from doing what I love. And
Right.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah,
and I think it's really.
Yeah, see, people that actually are like, let's say, disabled are able to actually do a lot more than, what other people can or cannot do. And you're telling me, like, that you can just do about anything with just one arm, and that's really good that you can actually, process to do things with just that one arm.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just think that like there will be people who will try to put me down and shit.
Like they'll just look at you and just say like where's your arm, or like why do you only have one arm, kind of like that. They want to try to like make fun of you kind of way. Well, I wouldn't say
somewhat.
Yeah, somewhat.
I've grown and I've grown to understand that questions like that will be asked because it's very and there's like a limit to the questions. There's like a limit to curiosities,
Right.
And I don't know. I don't know. I tell my friends all the time, like, hey, don't be afraid, because I think a lot of people do think that I get offended with things about my arm. Yeah. And no, I don't let stuff like that get to me because I just matured, or I don't know.
See, I'm the same way. See, like the way I'm going to probably describe the way I feel, like I'm one of those people who don't give a fuck about what people say. Like, let's just say, like, for example, let's just say you said something mean to me. It's like, do you think I'm going to give a damn about what you said? No.
Yeah.
Like, I'm one of those people who don't care. Because, like,
Yeah.
I work at a job that's so toxic. And I've learned from the experience, instead of just fighting back, you just basically ignore it. Or if they
Yeah.
want to try to fight you, just say, like, I'm not in the mood to fight. I just
Yeah.
want to get my work done and just go home. And if you want to report me, you can go report me for those lies. I don't care. But I will basically, tell the, employees what's going on.
Yeah.
And see,
And
I'm
yeah.
not afraid to fight. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I just like grew up. Yeah. I grew to understand that stuff like that won't affect me, because I know that even if things get said about me, it's like I'm gonna continue to go on about my life, and I'm not gonna stop,
right.
because yeah, I don't know. I think I consider myself very talented for what I was born with, and because like not obviously not everyone is born this way. Everyone, no, I mean honestly, I don't want to sound cocky, but I've never heard of a one-armed photographer. Like I don't think I have. Maybe I have, but I don't know. It's really rare to see people with my like disability to like do certain things like that. And yeah.
Like, I remember, like, when I was a kid, me and my sister used to go to, like, preschool, like, daycare and stuff. And I remember there was this one kid. He had every single, like, he looked like he was born normal, but with his pinky on one of his hands, it looked like there was another finger attached to it. So it looked like there was, like, a sixth finger right here attached to the pinky. And I looked at it, I was like, why do you have why does your pinky look like that? Like, I've never seen that. And I mean, like we were kids. We didn't know anything about all, deformed and stuff like that. We didn't know anything.
Yeah. Curiosity
And
will
it,
always be.
yeah.
And
I mean, it didn't like scare me. I was like, what is that?
yeah, because like even now, like I said, I'm from Los Angeles, and I'm a high school student here in LA. So like I go to a pretty diverse school with a bit of things, so I feel very like comfortable.
Right.
Now, and when I do go out, and like when I do go to shows, when I do go to parties, like people will like treat me normal, and I love it. Like like people, like some of my friends will be like, "Oh my God, Nathan, I like forget you have one arm," and I'm like, "Wow!" Like that like makes me, because like it's not like they care about it, and I really like when people say that, because it feels like they're not focused on my arm, and
they're focusing on your personality, basically.
Yeah.
And then, like, mostly just you, or, I get that.
Yeah.
See, with me, like, I actually have autism, so I have to learn, certain things. Like, I don't have, like, this special, technique like most people do. Like, see, I have what you call a learning disability. And, like, let's just say, like, for example, let's say you was to ask me what 2 plus 2 is. Sometimes I might give you the answer, like, real quick, or sometimes it might take me maybe 5 minutes to figure out what the answer is, or maybe a day, That's basically how my brain basically functions. So it's like I have a learning disability and a late learning disability, basically. So it's like, and a lot of people, like, they'll look at me and they'll say, like, oh, you were so slow. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, that's what I mean. Like, I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm dumb. It's just, the way that, I'm just trying to make it, that's just how my brain functions. Kind of like, let's say, like, if you were a pothead or a blonde or only had one brain cell, that's basically how your brain basically functions. It's like people feel like they're actually talking to a wall even though they're talking to you. That's just how the brain functions.
And I feel like there are very like ignorant people who like for my case, they'll like think that I'm like automatically mentally disabled because of my, and like that's not the case. I was just born without my arm. Like,
you were born that way.
I'm mentally like not disabled, and I feel people will like think otherwise. And
I always think about the positive, because I used to work in like grocery stores all the time, and I mean, other than having like mean managers and employees, I mean, I'm not saying everyone's mean at jobs, but sometimes you have to get like customers that will just come up to you and just want to be mean and just say ugly
Yeah.
things. I just learned just to ignore it because that, like, this stuff don't hurt my feelings. Like,
Yeah.
because like I said, like I tell people all the time, like this isn't no sticks and stones break my bone shit. This is more like I don't give a fuck what you say behind my back. So it's like if you
Yeah.
want to say it, go ahead. It ain't gonna hurt my damn feelings.
Yeah.
Like that's me. I mean, I know I might have like a bad attitude, but I learned how to control that.
Yeah. That makes sense. And what else was I gonna say? I don't know if you have any questions for me, like.
I'm trying to think.
Don't be scared to ask questions.
Oh, I'm not. Okay, like, okay, I know you told me like the bad things, but what's the good thing that you've actually done, which is only like being disability with one arm? Like, what's the good thing you've learned from this?
I've learned to accept myself. I've learned to be grateful that like I'm like here and like living the moment, living, and and I'm grateful that even if I was born this way, I still have people around me that will like look at me as for who I am and what I. And yeah, that's what I've learned. I've learned to love stuff.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for being on my podcast. I hope this actually, made you feel better. I hope you have a great day, and maybe one day if we get on here, we'll talk.
All right, see you around.
All right, bye. All right, so I do understand, if you were born disabled, I get that. And see, sometimes a lot of people might look different or act different and don't realize they want to try to use you or make fun of you or just the way you look or act. I mean, I get that. Some people don't quite understand it because what they're doing is that in their head, they're probably thinking like, oh, well, here's a guy that only has one leg or one arm. We're going to make fun of him. But they don't seem to quite understand that they don't know your story on why you are or who you are or the way you are. Like some people think it's a joke. Some people think it's, a good opportunity to listen to your side of the story. And then you get, well, I wouldn't say like you're getting all the attention. It's more like basically you're just kind of like just, telling your story about how you are and how, stuff like that. And and just be grateful for it. Because like the guy said earlier, he was basically in a good environment. He didn't want nothing to happen to him. He didn't want nothing like to worry about. And he is staying positive for who he is. And he doesn't want all the bad things to come into his head, like in your mind and stuff. So, yeah. And I'm glad that he's actually doing a lot. And I'm glad that he's doing good. And I'm glad that he's not, embarrassed about it, freaked out about it, or anything. I mean, I can tell you right now, he is actually in a really good mood about it. I like to thank the two people that I talked to. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get off. And I want to say thank you so much for letting me be on my first episode of I Confess with Travis. And I can't wait to maybe talk more with you guys about anything you want to discuss only on I Confess with Travis with your host, Travis Bartlett. All right, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.